Hello everybody and welcome back to the Moshix mainframe channel. This is Moshix, and today we're going to be looking at how to develop applications for HNET, the revived BitNet network that I have set up between some of my mainframes in the cloud, such as VM370, MVS, and also with ZVM and ZOS running on my ZPDT system. One of the things that is so fascinating about this network HNET is that it is not based on TCP/IP, of course. The transport is based on the RSCS protocol that has been around, well, I think since the 70s or so, late 70s. And as you know, we have a network running between me and a couple of friends using VM370 and MVS 3.8, and then my ZVM 6.4 running on top of ZPDT. And if you see here on the screen, what I have is I have a couple of links that are active. So there's one link here, Moshix 4, which is another VM370 host. And then I have a couple of inactive links, which means this one is not even trying to dial up. And this one is dialed up but not signed on. So again, some commands to remember. Special message. Here I'm going to tell my RSCS, which is the virtual machine here that takes care of this network. It's a service virtual machine, to shut down this link here. Mosh fun. Okay. Oops. Drain, of course. Okay, so now if we look again, you'll see that this network is now inactive and not trying to dial up. This one is also inactive, not trying to dial up, and this one is connected. So I wrote some very simple scripts to make the typing of commands less tedious. Let's look at the PS command. It's a special message to RSCS with a command of find out what's running on that host. And so I can use this to say PS Moshix, for instance. Oh, I have to add the route. There's route to route Moshix over Moshix 4. So now it knows that to reach the node Moshix, it has to go through Moshix 4. So now I can do something like PS Moshix. And it will go first to Moshix 4, as I explained in one of my previous videos, and then executes the command we just saw, this one, and then gets the answer back to this machine eventually. Okay, and as you can see here, the answer is back. This is what's running on that computer. That's a VM370 machine. So now what I've done is I've also added in the last few weeks, in the last 2-3 weeks, a software that enables this same protocol but on Linux directly. So you don't need to run a mainframe such as MVS 3.8 or VM370 to enable to connect to the network, to the network job entry protocol. That's the name of the protocol. You can actually connect directly from Linux. So I'll give you an example. I need to add a route to relay to Moshix 4. That's how I add the route, and now I can just execute the command again. As you can see here, this is an answer that is not, if you compare with the other answer we saw before. So Moshix is a VM370 host, so you can see here that there is VM370 kind of activity on that machine, and here we see an activity report that's much more like a Linux machine. That's because we have the network job entry protocol running directly on that machine. How is that possible? So first of all, GitHub, there is a protocol that I found here, which was written originally by the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. As you can see here, somewhere it says it was first written by one Mr. I think his name was Yahavi something, at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and I think I know who that gentleman is. and then somebody in Finland, this Mr. Matti Arnio, he ported it and enhanced it significantly to make it work under Unix, because at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem was originally written for OpenVMS, and since OpenVMS is not that different when it comes to porting software from Unix, this gentleman made it work and added a lot of features. And now I found this repository here on GitHub. However, this is written for a Linux version that's much older than what we have today, and so it wouldn't compile. So I made some changes to that, and if you go here to Moshix, we'll see there should be a new repository here. Yeah, Linux NJE. So I made some changes to that, and we now have this compiling on modern Linux, and it runs in 64-bit. So that's the good thing about it. So you can see November 23rd, 2019. So this protocol now runs directly on the Linux machine and can connect to any mainframe using the network job entry protocol. Now the good thing about this is that there is a directory here which implements exits, meaning that an exit in mainframe world is a hook. So you can, it's like an API, you can hook into some function of the operating system, and when that function gets called from the operating system, it then passes briefly control over to your code, so you can do stuff that's not part of the normal feature set. So you can enhance the operating system with those hooks, such as, you know, you can do in Linux, of course, through the kernel interface, syscalls, or you could do in Windows, I think that's called SX or something like that. So it's some similar thinking here. And so I got this to work on my Linux machine. So let's go see how this looks. So once you have this installed on a Linux machine here, you get a directory that contains important maintenance commands. One of them is, of course, the routes, where you define the routes, which you have to do on VM370 as well, of course, or on MBS. And then there is a very interesting a file here called, let's look at it, message exit, which says what happens when a message arrives and what will, you know, how is this going to get handled by the NG network job entry protocol. So it shows here very clearly what happens with certain commands, how they have to be handled. And you can see here several options. You can run something, and then you're being passed who wrote to you, what was the message, etc. Or you can discard, or you can broadcast something to somebody. These are the options you can do anytime a message arrives that matches a certain pattern. So it's a pattern matching thing here, and then you specify on this side, like this part, run, and then some local command, right? So I'll show you what you can do with this. So I have here, I wrote a little software in a little program in Rex, which I called relay, which sends relay commands to my Linux with the network job entry protocol. Because the great thing about Linux is that it's a great development environment with all the modern languages. So we can do all this stuff, and it's connected to the internet. So we can do stuff in scripts, in Shell, in Bash, in Go language, in C, connect to the outside network, and then present it back to the HNET protocol, which of course is shielded from the internet otherwise. So relay is my host that I'm running. It's a node on HNET on the network that provides all kinds of services. So let me show you. So if I just invoke relay, it says services available on the relay host are news, top, weather, pie, banner, uname, boxes. So let's start with relay uname. Let's see what happens. Of course, this will take a little bit of time because it needs to go from one machine to the next. So this goes through 3 hops and eventually executes a command and sends back. So you can see here, this is my Linux machine with kernel 4.5. So another one that I can do is relay. I can say PS, which should, oh, that's not defined here, relay pi. Okay, so it goes to the host, executes a small script. This is not a text string. It's actually calculated, and it calculates pi and returns the value. Now, one thing I did also is relay. Well, I can do news, and we can say here relay news BBC. I want to get the news from the BBC website. So you can see here quite fast, it goes there and gets me the news. London Bridge, woman killed and attacked, named as Saskia Jones. Very sorry to hear that. And all the news. Now, this is the BBC News, and in this video I'm going to show you, to explain to you how easy it is to extend the HNET network by adding online applications. I also want to connect to the National Public Radio News, so NPR News. So, you know, here in the US we have this free news. It's probably run by the government or something, and you can get your news here as well. So it's a radio, you can listen to radio, but you can also look at the news. Now, in the news, there is a way that I found to see it also, to watch the news in text mode. I used to know where it was, because I know back in the past I used to NPR News text mode. Text only, yeah. Yeah, so we found it. There should be a part, yes. Okay, that's exactly what I was looking for. A very clean website, no advertising, no videos, just the news. So how do we get this news to be provided to anybody who sends the right command to my relay host on BitNet? So this is what we're going to do in this video. So of course, the first thing we have to do is I will show you the example of the BBS news, which is actually implemented as a script. So here what I do is I run it as a bash script. I run a curl command, as you can see. It goes to the BBC International website in the UK and looks only for items which have a title, and then removes unnecessary information, and then looks only for the news, and then only gets the top 10 news. I can change this, of course, to 15, and then we'll get the top 50 news. And then this again, as you can see here, is piped again into the while read command. So while we get information lines from this curl command, we read them, and then we just write a send command, which is part of the software. It's part of this, as you can see here. That's the send command. Hebrew University of Jerusalem. This is what it does. It sends something over the network job entry protocol. So we use this command, and then $1 is the user, $2 will be the node where the request came from, because this can be accessed from anywhere on HNET. And there's by now about 30-40 nodes on HNET. How they call HNET, I don't know. They can call it whatever they want. They can call it Mickey Mouse Net. I call it HNET, and because I'm referring mostly just to my own host. And then for each line that comes in, we send the line as well. So this way we can send a multi-line output over back to the request node. So how do we make this work? This works for BBC, but today I want to show how to make this work also for the NPR news. So we start by just copying BBC to NPR bash. So now let's look at NPR. We don't need all of that. We may need the head 10. Okay. Now, how do we get this in here cleanly, right? So curl won't help, because if I do a curl, let's first copy the link. right? And this is how it looks, so let's keep this in mind. We don't need this right now. If I do a curl, this is what I'm going to get. It's going to show it the output in HTML, which is no good because we don't want to send all this garbled text back to the 3270 mainframe terminal. So we want to get this in as clean text as possible. One option, of course, we need to render the HTML, and I think the best thing would be to use links. Oh, links is not installed, so we'll install it. Okay, so links is now installed, and if I do this, it will show me the website, actually quite clean. And so now what we need to understand is how many lines we want to get first of all. So they were line number 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we want to get 18 website at plus 1 above. I think that's about 19 lines, okay? So, but we, of course, cannot look at it within the browser, the text browser itself. We need to get this into a text file. So I think there's a command to do that. It's called dump, if I'm not mistaken. If you see it, shout. Nope. Oh yes, dumps the formatted output of the default document into standard output. That's exactly what we want. So we want to dump the website we just saw on the interactive screen here on Linux. We want to dump it into standard out, which we then can pipe. So let's try this. Links dump. What was the website again? NPR text. Let's look at NPR text. Yes. So here we can count the line because we have here in Vim we have the line counter. So we want to get the first 23 lines. But it's actually a wraparound. So yeah, 23 lines. So why don't we do that in NPR, remove NPR text, and let's look at NPR bash. So all we need to do here is, well, first let's see which links. Okay, user bin, so user bin links minus dump and the website. Oops. Let's copy it again. Okay. So now we get user bin links, we dump it, but not into a text file like we did before in the command line, because then we'll have to read it again. This being Unix, we can just pipe it. And head is a command that just gives me the first n lines. We saw that we need, we need about 23 lines, and then from there we pipe into the while command, and I think this is about all we need to do here. Let's see. Of course we have to now change the message table. So Okay, so let's now add the command. I think we should do it here. Well, just do it here. Call it NPR, and we say and we pass from user, from node. We actually don't need this. Yeah, that's all I think we need to pass. Okay, so now what we do is every time we get the command called npr addressed to relay, we run the script that we have here. We run this script. And then we look at the website, we get it, we cut off the first 23 lines and throw the rest away. We pipe that to the while command, and then we print out. So I think we should try this out. Command relay npr. Let's see what happens. Didn't seem to work. I wonder why. So that didn't work. And the reason is so let's copy this command and let's see what happens. Right. This does work. So then we have a problem with calling is the link up. Let's see. Yeah, the link may be down. So this host has been giving me some link problems. Yeah, I think the link may be down. Yeah, let's look at the link. Okay, why don't we connect to another host that has a connection? Okay, I connected here to my VM370. Let's run command on relay from here. Doesn't really matter where we connect from. Yeah, so it works from here. So let's try the command remote SES command relay npr, because we need to be sure that it's really the problem is not the connection before we start debugging, because it's working here on the command line on Linux. Yes, so this works. There is only some problems, which is the bullet points, as you can see here, they get translated wrong by because obviously there is an EBCDIC to ASCII. So let's do, well, we could do a sed here to remove all the non-printable characters, but that's trivial. We're not going to waste time on that. So now I should be able to just relay, send command like relay news npr. Let's see if this works. As you can see here, we have already a new news item, which is a Taiwan selection array seats up. So let's see if this comes out. Yes. So that comes out, and then we also still have relay news BBC. Of course, it takes a few seconds because it needs to hop over several machines here across big distances, as I mentioned before. Very good. So now we have two news sources. I also did something called relay weather. We need to provide a city or a zip code. So let's do relay Novosibirsk. Let's see what the weather is like in Novosibirsk. Oh, we need to provide the weather command first. Okay, yeah, my program is right. Relay weather in Novosibirsk. It accepted the input. As you can see, that's how easy it is. We don't even need a programming language like a compiled language. Yeah, Novosibirsk is 5 Fahrenheit, 4 miles per hour wind, and that's the pressure. So clear sky. So that is fine. As you can see here, as I wanted to show NPR, it's just in Bash. Very, very simple to add new commands. And I've also added relay. Let's see all the commands. I have new, stop, weather, P, banner. Okay, we can do relay, banner, HNET, which creates a banner out of the HNET word. Again, this is all done with Bash. There's no compiled language here. There's a bigger program I'm working on. There's a bigger program I'm working on. Boxes, which will implement something much bigger, and there I'm using a compiled language because you can do much more stuff. I need dynamic list annotations, etc. So I'm going to be making a video about that separately. Yeah. So here you have a SANA. Looks like a SANA with text inside. So then we have relay. Let's see. Relay. We saw top. It runs top. Basically this program here. And returns only the command and the CPU. So we know which so you can see here. So yeah, so this works fine. Oops, can use Vim commands on CMS, but this runs fine. So what I'm doing is just using the same command, which is just a simple rex script, to then run all other commands. I also have some single commands like netmap relay, which gets the map of all connections of relay, right? So I can see that I'm only connected to Moshix file 4 on line 0, and it is active. I can also do, I can send messages, of course, but messages are very simple because all you do is tell root at relay hello, and then the message will arrive there. So, but this is what I like about having this FUNET NJE program running on Linux, is that we can very, very easily write our own applications for HNET, and they can also connect to the internet. So one more thing, that you could do yourself if you wanted to, as an exercise, is write a stock fetching application. So that I could say something like relay stock Apple, and then it's going to get me the stock price of Apple, the last closing price or something. So that would be very easy to add, because again, we don't actually need an application. We can just get it with either curl or with wget or with links, right? And then the only thing is that once we get the output, then we have to parse it a little bit and eliminate all the stuff we don't need. And that's, I would say, 80% of the work in writing an application for HNET is understanding how to get the information you need, because it's all line oriented here, obviously, and and then like this one, relay fortune, and then get it to send the output a little bit cleaned up back to the terminal. But as you can see here, what we're doing is we're bridging two worlds, right? We have the very old 24-bit VM370 world, right? A horse, my kingdom for a horse, Shakespeare. And we have a very old protocol from the late 70s, I think. Maybe 74, maybe even 73. We can look it up, actually. VNet. Wiki IBM VNet. Let's see when it was written. So it was some 75, so maybe early 70s actually. That's when the protocol was designed by somebody in the VM370 team at IBM. So this is not connected to the internet. You know, this VM370 doesn't have TCP/IP, knows nothing about the internet and modern world. But my Linux machine here is connected, of course, to the internet, right? And so now I can run commands here using the network job entry protocol. And so this software is kind of bridging between the internet and the modern world and this world, which is for me certainly much more fun. And we can make, you know, these mainframes that we were running for so long with MVS 3.8 and VM370, they were all isolated machines, and you know, being a single user on your own mainframe is no fun, because all the fun is being, you know, connected to other people. And so now we can actually get these mainframes that are running out there in, you know, people's homes, etc., to connect to each other and exchange files, messages. And now we also have a central machine, the relay node, which provides informational services and even fun services. So I'm going to be adding more and more applications, and maybe make a video here and there about how to bridge between the internet and the new world, Linux, and the RSCS network job entry protocol. So this is a lot of fun. If you have any questions about how to write your own apps, please let me know. And I hope you all access the network and connect to relay and start playing with it. It's a very performing machine. It has 2 cores and I think 16 gigabytes of RAM, so certainly very powerful, or powerful enough to run many users. So this is what I wanted to show you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed writing this simple program. And if you have any questions, please post them as comments below this video. If you like this video, I would ask you to press on the thumbs up button. Always appreciate that. And finally, if you're not a subscriber of the Moshix Mainframe channel yet, now would be an excellent time to do it by just pressing on the subscribe button on your device. Thank you very much. Goodbye.